that was childish, that was idiotic, all those type of words. I regret doing that, and I apologize to him for doing that.
Kevin Durant shocked the basketball world when he publicly apologized after a secret burner account was traced back to him, exposing harsh comments about teammates like Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and even former Golden State Warriors stars. What was supposed to be private frustration turned into a full-blown locker room mess almost overnight. Screenshots started circulating, fans were connecting dots, and suddenly the narrative wasn't about basketball anymore, it was about betrayal. The big question wasn't just what he tweeted, it was what happened behind closed doors that made him step up and say sorry in front of the entire world. Let's break it down. For most of his career, Kevin Durant has lived in two completely different worlds. On the court, he's a nightmare for defenders. Nearly 7 feet tall with the handle of a guard, a jumper that looks unblockable, and a scoring package so smooth it feels unfair. Coaches have called him impossible to guard. Teammates have labeled him once in a generation. Analysts regularly rank him among the most dangerous scorers the league has ever seen. When he gets hot, it feels automatic. No wasted motion, no panic, just buckets. But off the court, the energy has always been different. Durant never fit the smiling, media-trained superstar mold. He's not the guy cracking jokes for headlines or delivering polished, sponsor-friendly speeches. He's quieter, more introspective, and to many fans, more reactive than expected. That's where things started to get complicated.
I wanted to be stealth. I didn't want nobody to know that he was me.
Earlier today, Kevin Durant's alleged burner account on Twitter was exposed, where he was trash-talking former and current teammates. He wasn't even with like friends or other teammates or anything. It was just random Twitter accounts that he was in a group chat.
Because the criticism never stopped. Every decision he made was dissected. His move to Golden State, debated for years, every playoff exit, picked apart frame by frame, every interview quote turned into a trending topic within minutes. And once social media exploded, the noise became constant. Not just TV analysts or sports writers. It was Twitter threads, Instagram comments, YouTube debates, trending hashtags, thousands of opinions all at once, all loud, all personal. Most stars say they ignore it. Durant didn't. He read it, he followed it, he absorbed it. And sometimes he responded. That habit slowly turned into something bigger than anyone expected. Because one day, the internet uncovered something that changed the conversation completely. Durant wasn't just reading criticism about himself, he was secretly arguing back through burner accounts, anonymous profiles, fake usernames, random avatars. But the tone, the language, the phrasing, it all sounded way too familiar. When people connected the dots, it was explosive. Screenshots showed the burner defending Durant aggressively, taking shots at former teammates and downplaying others' contributions. Mentions of Kyrie, subtle digs tied to Harden, comments about past Warrior stars that felt way too inside to be coming from a random fan account. It didn't take long for the story to snowball across sports media. And when confronted, Durant didn't completely dodge it. He admitted the accounts were his. He admitted he used them to defend himself, not because of some elaborate PR strategy, not for marketing, just emotion, just frustration, just wanting to respond. That honesty made the situation even more intense. Some fans respected the transparency, others saw it as thin-skinned. Inside the locker room, though, it was different. When teammates realized private opinions might be floating around anonymously, trust takes a hit. Even if the comments weren't meant to go public, they did. And once they're out, you can't pull them back. That apology wasn't just about Twitter. It was about repairing relationships, about calming tension, about protecting chemistry. Because in professional sports, perception matters almost as much as performance. And just like that, one of the greatest scorers in modern basketball had one of the most unexpected controversies of his career. Not from a missed shot, not from a playoff collapse, but from a keyboard. But this whole saga didn't begin with a calm confession. It started years earlier with a decision that already had fans watching him under a microscope. Back in 2016, after blowing a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals to the Golden State Warriors, Kevin Durant made a move that shook the entire league. Instead of trying to get revenge the next season, he joined them. Yes, the same team that had just eliminated him. The same team that had just posted a historic 73-win regular season. It wasn't just a roster upgrade. It felt like a power shift across the entire NBA. From a business angle, it made sense. He put himself in the best position to win championships. That's what every player says they want, right? But emotionally, For a lot of fans, it hit differently. It didn't feel like competition. It felt like surrender. Instead of beating the Warriors, he teamed up with them, and that narrative stuck to him like glue. The backlash was immediate and nonstop. Every time Durant tweeted anything, the replies were flooded with the same accusations. You couldn't win alone. You needed a super team. Those rings don't count the same. The internet turned into a broken record. And it wasn't just once or twice. It was constant, day after day, season after season. Most stars would have ignored it, smiled in interviews, let the trophies speak. Durant didn't move like that. At first, he responded directly from his verified account. He argued, he defended his decision, he pushed back on the narrative. But over time, something shifted. The replies didn't slow down, the criticism didn't fade, so he created distance, not from the comments, but from his identity. That's when the burner accounts came in. Anonymous profiles, no checkmark, no pressure of being Kevin Durant, global superstar, just random usernames that could fire back freely. Through those accounts, he defended his legacy, debated strangers, and even criticized aspects of his former situation with the Oklahoma City Thunder. It gave him freedom, at least for a while. And then came the moment that changed everything. One day, during a routine back and forth with a critic, Durant forgot to switch accounts. Instead of replying from the burner, he responded from his official verified profile. One click, one mistake, and the entire secret cracked wide open. Fans instantly noticed the tone, the phrasing, the arguments. They matched posts from an anonymous account that had been aggressively defending Durant and subtly taking shots at his former team. Within hours, screenshots were everywhere. Threads were blowing up. Sports talk shows were lining up segments. It wasn't speculation anymore. It was obvious. The story spread like wildfire.
This was him at All-Star Game today.
You have burner accounts.
Yeah.
Networks covered it. Debate shows turned it into a headline topic. Social media turned it into memes within minutes. It wasn't just that a superstar was arguing online. It was that he had been doing it undercover, pretending to be someone else. That's what made it explosive. And the tweets themselves didn't help. They included critical remarks about former teammates and comments about the organization he had just left. It didn't read like calm strategy. It read like emotion. It felt personal. And for a player who had built a reputation as quiet and reserved, this was a completely different image. The revelation stunned fans. It showed a side of Durant that wasn't polished or distant. It showed someone who read everything, someone who cared deeply about how he was viewed, someone who couldn't just let it slide. And just when it seemed like the headlines were finally cooling down, another twist was waiting around the corner. Years later, just when people thought the whole burner saga was old news, another alleged situation surfaced. And this one, it felt way more uncomfortable. Screenshots started circulating online again. This time, the account allegedly tied to Kevin Durant wasn't just defending his legacy, it was openly criticizing teammates, coaches, and even the entire team dynamic. Not vague comments, not subtle hints, direct frustration, direct opinions, and that instantly raised the temperature. That alone would have been enough to spark controversy. But the real twist was where these conversations were happening. They weren't public clapbacks. They weren't heated debates under viral posts. They were private group chats with random Twitter users, strangers, no cameras, no press conference, just digital whispers behind a mask. That detail changed everything. Now it wasn't just Durant firing back at trolls. It was Durant venting about people he actually worked with, behind a fake profile to random people on the internet. And for fans, that felt different. This wasn't just about ego anymore. It was about trust, about loyalty, about what gets said when nobody's supposed to be watching. As the screenshots spread like wildfire, cameras caught Durant during the NBA All-Star Game sitting on the sideline, glued to his phone while the controversy exploded online. That image became symbolic almost instantly. One of the greatest scorers in basketball history, sitting at All-Star Weekend, scrolling through his screen while the internet questioned his integrity. The optics were brutal. By that point, the narrative had already locked in. Fans weren't just debating the tweets. They were debating what it said about him as a person. Was he insecure? Was he too online? Was he just human and tired of hearing constant criticism? Some people called it embarrassing. Others said it was relatable. A few even respected the fact that he didn't hide from how much he cared. But nearly everyone agreed on one thing: it was strange. Superstars aren't supposed to move like that, and they aren't supposed to argue with random users. They aren't supposed to vent in private chats under fake names. And they definitely aren't supposed to get caught. Now Durant had. And suddenly, the story wasn't just about tweets, it was about reputation, about perception, about how one of the most gifted players in the league was seen once he stepped off the hardwood. Because here's the uncomfortable question people kept asking. If he was willing to say those things anonymously online, what did that mean for the relationships inside the locker room? What did it mean for teammates who had trusted him? That question hit harder than any screenshot. And then came the backlash. Once the burner story became public, it didn't fade after a few hours. It didn't quietly disappear under the next highlight clip. It exploded. What started as fan speculation turned into a full-scale media event at lightning speed. Within a single news cycle, it was no longer just a Twitter thread. It was national coverage. Sports television analysts brought it up during halftime segments. Radio hosts cracked jokes about it on morning shows. Podcasts dropped emergency episodes breaking down every detail. On social media, the phrase Kevin Durant burner account became one of the most searched basketball topics in the country. Memes flooded timelines, fan pages posted side-by-side screenshots. Every big sports account had an opinion ready. The story developed its own momentum, and once that happens online, it's hard to control. The conversation shifted from basketball achievements to personality traits, from championship rings to emotional responses. Instead of talking about Durant's jumper, people were talking about his phone habits. Instead of debating defensive matchups, they were debating maturity. That's the part that made it bigger than just social media drama. Because when trust and reputation get pulled into the spotlight, the impact doesn't stay online. It follows you into arenas, into press conferences, into team chemistry meetings. And in a league where perception can shape narratives for years, that kind of story doesn't just disappear overnight. At that point, the controversy wasn't about whether the account was real. It was about what it revealed. And once that door opened, there was no easy way to close it. The reason this story exploded so fast was obvious. It had every ingredient needed to grab attention: a global superstar, secret accounts, leaked screenshots, and the uncomfortable reality that one of the best players on the planet had allegedly been arguing with anonymous users online. But what truly pushed this from a weird internet moment into a full-blown controversy wasn't just the existence of a burner account, it was the content tied to it. According to the circulating screenshots and reports, the account wasn't only defending Kevin Durant. It was criticizing teammates, complaining about team situations, comparing franchises in ways that felt personal, not strategic. Some comments appeared to take subtle shots at players he had shared the court with. Others reflected frustration about certain organizations and their direction. That's when the tone shifted instantly. What could have been brushed off as a strange online habit suddenly looked serious. It stopped feeling like random social media chatter and started sounding like a locker room issue. And in professional sports, locker room trust is everything. Teams are built on belief. Players have to trust that the guy next to them has their back. Coaches need to know their stars are locked into the system. Fans expect superstars to represent the franchise with professionalism and composure. Now that image looked shaky. The questions started pouring in. Who exactly were those comments about? Did his teammates see the screenshots? How would they react if they did? Was this just online venting, or did it reflect deeper frustration behind the scenes? The conversation shifted quickly. People weren't just debating tweets anymore. They were questioning character, leadership, commitment. Was Durant unhappy? Was he frustrated internally? Was he the kind of leader a championship locker room needs? Those discussions took over sports media fast, and as usual, the internet didn't wait for clarity. Memes flooded timelines within hours. Fans joked about Durant arguing with himself. Others claimed any anonymous account defending him had to secretly be his. Some even joked that if you criticize him online, you might accidentally end up debating him without knowing it. It became a running punchline. If Durant tweeted something normal, replies would ask if it was really him or one of his burners. If he was caught on camera looking at his phone during a game or event, people joked he was in the middle of another debate. The narrative stuck hard. And once a label like that attaches itself to a superstar, it's nearly impossible to shake. It stopped being just a story. It became identity. Durant wasn't only the unstoppable scorer anymore, not just the finals MVP, not just the generational talent who can pull up over anyone. He became the superstar with burner accounts. And that phrase followed him everywhere.
If you're questioning what I'm doing, then shit, why not get it from the source? That these people that I might be shitting on sometimes, they enjoy these interactions.
Even when he dropped 40 points, the jokes lingered. Even when he won, the whispers stayed. That's how modern perception works. Once the internet locks onto a narrative, it reshapes how people see everything. A normal tweet becomes suspicious. A neutral comment becomes analyzed. A simple glance at a phone becomes symbolic. That's the real impact of controversies like this. It's not just about the original screenshots. It's about how the story rewrites the lens through which fans view a player. And for someone as talented as Durant, that shift in perception might have hit harder than any criticism about rings or super teams ever did. Because when your reputation moves from unstoppable scorer to secretly arguing online, the spotlight changes. And in today's digital world, that spotlight never turns off. The burner story didn't fade quietly. It showed up everywhere, in interviews, in comment sections, on debate shows. Even when analysts were supposed to be breaking down pick-and-roll coverage or playoff matchups, someone would eventually bring up the burner accounts. It became part of how Kevin Durant was discussed, whether he liked it or not. And then he did something that caught a lot of people off guard. He admitted it. No long denial, no dramatic press conference, no attempt to blame fake screenshots or hacked accounts. He simply acknowledged that, yes, he had used burner accounts. That short, direct admission flipped the tone instantly. It wasn't speculation anymore. It wasn't rumor. It was confirmed by him. But when Durant explained why he used them, his reasoning sounded completely different from how the public had framed the situation. From his point of view, he wasn't trolling. He wasn't hiding out of fear. He saw himself as engaging. To him, social media erased the distance between athletes and fans. In this era, players and supporters talk directly. They debate, they argue, they connect. In his mind, responding to criticism was just part of the modern sports environment. He didn't view it as scandalous. He viewed it as communication. Durant believed those conversations were normal. Fans critique players nonstop. Why shouldn't players respond? In fact, he suggested that those direct exchanges made the game more authentic, less corporate, less filtered, more real. To him, it wasn't embarrassing. It was participation. But the public didn't see it that way. Most fans didn't view it as authenticity. They saw insecurity. They saw one of the most talented players in the world unable to ignore random criticism without hiding behind a fake profile. And once that interpretation locked in, it spread fast. Sports media started analyzing Durant's personality more than his jumper. Words like sensitive, thin-skinned, and overly online became part of the conversation. The burner saga wasn't just an incident anymore. It was attached to his name. And in professional sports, perception carries serious weight. Even if teammates never confronted him face-to-face, the idea alone created an uncomfortable atmosphere. The possibility that a superstar might be venting about teammates anonymously online is the kind of rumor that lingers. Even if no one says it out loud, it plants doubt. It raises quiet questions. It changes how interactions are interpreted. For Durant, this wasn't happening in a vacuum. He had already faced heavy criticism for leaving the Oklahoma City Thunder to join the Golden State Warriors. That narrative had followed him for years. Now the burner controversy layered on top of it. He wasn't just the guy who joined a super team anymore. He wasn't just the finals MVP. Now he was also the superstar who argues with fans from secret accounts. And that combination shaped how people talked about his entire career. Even when he dominated games, the conversation drifted back to burners. Even when he dropped huge playoff performances, the jokes resurfaced. The memes never really stopped. They didn't fade with time. They traveled with him from team to team, season to season. Anytime he tweeted, someone would ask if it was really him. Anytime he responded to criticism, someone would bring up the burners. If a rumor popped up online, fans joked that maybe he was behind it. The narrative became permanent background noise. And here's the truth about stories like that. They don't disappear on their own. They fade only when the person at the center addresses them head-on. Durant eventually realized that ignoring it wouldn't work. Explaining it through anonymous accounts wouldn't work. If he wanted to control the narrative, he had to step forward publicly. No filters, no alternate profiles, just him. He had to speak about it as Kevin Durant. No digital mask, no hidden username. And when that moment finally arrived, when he addressed it directly and took responsibility, it didn't just calm the headlines. It defined how the entire saga would be remembered. Because once a superstar admits something like that, the story shifts from exposure to response. And in this case, the response was an apology. That apology didn't just close a chapter, it opened a new one. By the time Kevin Durant finally addressed the burner account controversy in public, the situation had already exploded far beyond a few screenshots. The images had spread across every corner of the internet. Sports talk shows spent days dissecting it. Memes flooded Twitter and Instagram, and the phrase Kevin Durant burner account had basically become part of daily basketball language. The issue wasn't just about a few tweets anymore, it was about perception. For most of his career, Durant's image had been clear and simple. He was the scorer, the silent assassin, the calm, deadly offensive weapon who let his game speak louder than anything else. Even when he made controversial moves like leaving the Oklahoma City Thunder to join the Golden State Warriors, the debate still centered around basketball, rings, points, efficiency, legacy. But the burner saga shifted that focus completely. Suddenly, the public conversation wasn't about jump shots or championships. It was about personality. He wasn't just Kevin Durant, unstoppable scorer. He was Kevin Durant, the superstar arguing with fans from secret accounts. And that label stuck in a way very few controversies ever do.
But I'm happy to take it a little too far. And that's what happens sometimes when I get into these basketball debates. That was childish, that was idiotic, all those type of words. I regret doing that, and I apologize to me for doing that. But I'll scale back a little bit right now and just focus on playing basketball.
It followed him everywhere, into interviews, into comment sections, onto the court. Every tweet he posted got dissected. Every response to criticism sparked jokes about whether he was on another burner. If his name trended, people wondered if another anonymous account had popped up. The narrative had grown bigger than the original mistake. At that point, ignoring it wasn't an option anymore. Eventually, Durant stepped in front of cameras and addressed it directly. Not through a burner, not through a cryptic post, not through a vague statement, face to face. No digital mask, no hidden username. And when he spoke, the tone was different from the sarcastic or defensive energy people were used to seeing online. He didn't argue. He didn't spin it. He didn't claim it was misunderstood. He admitted he had gone too far. That was the moment everything shifted. For years, Durant had been known for pushing back against criticism. He defended his decisions. He challenged media narratives. He responded to fans. But this time, he wasn't defending himself. He acknowledged that his behavior crossed a line. He explained that while he enjoyed interacting with fans and debating basketball, things escalated in ways he didn't intend. What started as simple arguments turned into comments about people he worked with directly. And that, he admitted, was the mistake. Then came the words that really defined the controversy. He called his actions childish and idiotic, and he apologized to those involved. Those words hit hard because they came straight from him. There was no league-mandated statement, no robotic PR script, no vague corporate language. He spoke plainly, directly, honestly. That vulnerability surprised a lot of people. Up until then, the burner story had felt like a spectacle, easy to joke about, easy to meme, easy to frame as a superstar acting immature online. But when Durant admitted he was upset with himself, when he acknowledged he had crossed a boundary, it humanized the entire situation. He wasn't just a superstar caught in drama. He was someone who reacted emotionally, made a mistake, and regretted it. He even admitted that the previous day had been difficult for him. He said he was frustrated with himself. That detail mattered. It showed this wasn't just noise happening around him. It was something he felt personally. That's when the conversation softened. When someone owns a mistake publicly, especially at that level of fame, it changes the energy. The laughter quiets down. The jokes lose their edge. People start to see the person behind the headlines. And Durant didn't stop at apology. He made it clear that he understood why people were disappointed. He understood why teammates might feel uncomfortable. He didn't minimize it. He didn't blame social media culture. He didn't point fingers. He owned it. That ownership reshaped the story. Instead of being remembered only as the burner account guy, he became the superstar who admitted he messed up and took responsibility. In a league where image management is often polished and distant, that kind of honesty stood out. But here's the thing. Apologies don't erase narratives overnight. The jokes didn't disappear completely. The memes didn't vanish instantly. But the tone shifted. What once felt like scandal began to feel like a chapter, a mistake, a moment in time rather than a permanent stain. And as Durant explained what he planned to do next, it became clear this wasn't just about cleaning up headlines. It was about moving differently, moving forward. That statement felt like a real turning point. Instead of jumping back into comment sections, instead of firing off replies, instead of defending himself through tweets or anonymous accounts, Kevin Durant made it clear he was stepping back, he was choosing to let his game speak again. And for a lot of fans, that was exactly what they wanted to hear. Because no matter how loud the controversy got, Durant's talent was never the issue. He was still one of the most dominant scorers in the league, still capable of taking over a game in 5 minutes, still able to hit shots that most players wouldn't even attempt. That part never changed. The burner saga didn't erase his skill. It didn't suddenly make defenders able to guard him. It didn't take away his championships or all-star appearances. What it changed was perception. For the first time, fans saw a different side of him, a side that cared deeply about what people said, a side that read the comments, a side that sometimes reacted emotionally instead of strategically. Whether he meant to or not, it humanized him. Some people thought it was embarrassing. To them, it looked like a superstar who couldn't ignore criticism, someone who needed to respond, someone who couldn't let it go. But others saw something else. They saw proof that even elite athletes aren't immune to emotion, that even someone with trophies and highlight reels still feels frustration. In a strange way, the controversy made Durant more relatable. It showed that behind the scoring titles and buzzer beaters was a person dealing with the same digital noise everyone else deals with. That doesn't mean it helped his image. Once the internet builds a narrative around you, it sticks. And for Durant, the burner account story became one of those permanent talking points. Years later, the jokes still pop up. Anytime he replies to someone online, someone brings up the burners. Anytime a rumor floats around, fans joke that maybe it started from one of his secret accounts. It became part of his legacy, whether he wanted it or not. But here's what's important. It never defined his performance. Durant kept dominating. He kept scoring 30 like it was routine. He kept making all-star teams. He kept reminding the league why he's considered one of the greatest players of his generation. The controversy didn't weaken his jumper. It didn't slow his first step. It didn't change the fact that defenders still struggle to contest his shot night after night. If anything, the burner saga added depth to his story. It revealed something unusual about a superstar. It showed that behind the trophies was someone who cared about public perception, someone who read the comments, someone who sometimes felt the urge to respond, sometimes from his main account, sometimes from a burner, and sometimes in ways he later regretted. But in the end, he owned it. He admitted he went too far, he called his actions childish, he apologized, and then he did what great players always do. He moved forward. Because in the NBA, controversies don't last forever. Headlines shift, new stories replace old ones. One week it's burners, the next week it's trade rumors. The week after that, it's playoff drama. The cycle never stops. What matters is what happens on the court. Seasons keep rolling, games keep being played. And in the middle of all the noise, players still have to perform under bright lights. Durant did exactly that. He kept stepping onto the floor. He kept pulling up over defenders. He kept proving that regardless of social media debates, regardless of memes, regardless of narratives, his talent speaks louder than any tweet ever could. At the end of the day, the burner accounts became a chapter, not the whole book. And the book is still being written. If you enjoyed this breakdown, click on any of the videos on your screen right now for more stories just like this.